Lesson plan: Understanding the food chain, grade level 4 to 5, subject Science, duration 60 minutes. Lesson objective: by the end of this lesson, students will be able to understand the concept of a food chain, identify and differentiate between producers, consumers, and decomposers, construct a basic food chain, demonstrating the flow of energy from one organism to another, materials needed, whiteboard and markers, chart paper and colored markers, pictures or flashcards of different animals, plants, and insects, scissors and glue, handouts with food chain diagrams for practice, projector or interactive board optional, standards addressed, NCS for LS11, from molecules to organisms, structures and processes, NCS 5PS31, energy and chemical processes and everyday life. Lesson Introduction 10 minutes. 1. Warm-up activity. Begin by asking students what they ate for breakfast. Write a few examples on the board. Guide students to think about where their food comes from. For example, where does bread come from? Or how does milk get to your table? 2. Objective introduction. Explain that today, they will learn how all living things are connected through what they eat, which is called a food chain. Briefly define a food chain as a series of organisms, each dependent on the next as a source of food. Lesson development 30 minutes. 1. Direct instruction 10 minutes. Producers, consumers, and decomposers. Explain the three main parts of a food chain. Producers, for example, plants make their own food using sunlight. Consumers, for example, animals eat plants or other animals. Decomposers, for example, fungi, bacteria break down dead plants and animals. Flow of energy. Describe how energy flows from the sun to producers and then to consumers and decomposers. Use a simple diagram to illustrate this. 2. Guided practice 10 minutes. Building a food chain. Using pictures or flashcards, have students help create a simple food chain on the board. For example, sungrass, grasshopper, frog, snake, eagle. Discuss each step, asking questions like, what does the grasshopper eat? Or who eats the frog? 3. Group activity 10 minutes. Create your own food chain. Divide students into small groups and give them pictures of various plants, animals, and decomposers. Ask each group to arrange the pictures to create a food chain and then glue them onto a piece of chart paper. Each group will present their food chain to the class, explaining the role of each organism. Lesson conclusion 10 minutes. 1. Review and recap. Review the key points of the lesson. What is a food chain? What are producers, consumers, and decomposers? Ask students to share what they learned. 2. Assessment. Hand out a worksheet with a partially completed food chain. Students will need to fill in the blanks with the correct organisms and label them as producers, consumers, or decomposers. 3. Homework assignment. Ask students to draw a food chain from their home or local environment, for example, backyard, park, and label the different parts. Assessment. Formative. Observation during group work and class discussions. Summative. Completion of the food chain worksheet and the homework assignment. Extensions. Advanced activity. Introduce the concept of a food web and have students connect multiple food chains. Cross-curricular connection. Integrate art by having students create a 3D model of a food chain. Reflection. After the lesson, reflect on what worked well and what could be improved. Were students engaged? Did they grasp the concept? How can this lesson be adjusted for different learning styles or levels? This lesson plan is designed to be engaging, hands-on, and suitable for 4th to 5th graders, helping them to understand the fundamental concepts of the food chain through direct instruction, group work, and creative activities. Homework assignment. Draw a simple food chain. 1. Draw a food chain with at least 3 steps, for example, plant animal, another animal. 2. Label each part as a producer, consumer, or decomposer. Example, sungrass producer, rabbit consumer. Be ready to share your food chain in class tomorrow.